You're the one. You really are a heel. You're as cuddly as a sea urchin. You're as charming as an eel. Just a silver dollar. You're a bad banana. You have angels in your smile. You have all the tender sweetness of a sea crocodile. Mr. Silver Dollar, you're a foul one. Friends, they're a wolf pack. I wouldn't touch you with a 39.5-foot net. You're a monster. Your heart's an empty hole. You've got garlic. You've got garlic in your soul. All them pins, I shredded them. All them angelfish, I took them down. You can ask Father Fish. I don't play around. Ew. Who's this mean fishy with his scales all silver and his eyes all black? You're a monster. Your heart's an empty hole. You've got garlic. You've got garlic in your soul. All them pins, I shredded them. All them angelfish, I took them down. You can ask Father Fish. I don't play around. Ew. Who's this mean fishy with his scales all silver and his eyes all black? La la la. What you so mean for? Halloween coming round and we ain't knocking at your door. Bad silver dollar. 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 Bad silver dollar.
Well, good morning.
Good morning.
We are here.
We are.
Good morning.
Yet again.
There was some serious question as to whether that was going to occur.
That was true for me. I was struggling with internet up till about 5-10 minutes ago.
Right.
Couldn't
Well, yeah, all of a sudden YouTube came back online. I checked some other sites. It was out globally.
I called my company thinking, I know I paid my bill.
Right.
No, it wasn't you. I happened to be like looking up, a YouTuber this morning, and it loaded, and then I looked up another person, and that didn't load, and Mary was having the same issues at the same time. So
that was pretty much my problem too.
And I was like, oh, if it's happening to you, and both of our Fire TVs were down because we both have Fire TV. I was like, I don't know.
Yeah. And then it was God. And I just hit the thumbs up. So if everybody else could hit the thumbs up, that would be wonderful.
Yes.
Well, and then the other thing that happened was I created the streams this morning, and I created them backwards. So morning was on top on the list.
Yep.
And I decided, because people have had confusion about that in the past, that I would delete that one and go back in and create a new one. Well, I created a new one, but the old one did not get deleted. So we wound up with two streams, each coming on at the same time, and with people in both.
Yeah.
So we were all just having issues.
That would have been interesting.
Yeah, it was a crazy
So,
just lose YouTube again.
So then I went in and it made one private back up. In the meantime,
Okay.
I posted the stream from StreamYard to the Facebook group, the Father Fish group
Mm-hmm.
page. But there are no comments. It won't accept comments apparently. But at least you can view it there. So
Okay.
oh
Well,
well. So here we are.
here we are. It's like, hopefully we all get
So there's
straightened
a
out.
question for you guys about stickers. Now,
Oh,
Brianne would like to know, do you, Father Fish and Joey, do you guys have stickers?
I do, and I am happy to send them out. I also have bumper stickers. Let me get them. I'll show you.
okay. And the answer for me is no, because I guess I just never thought anybody would want a sticker from me. So no. But maybe it's something I could work on.
Right. And I guess I could make stickers. I haven't done that yet.
I've got
So-
some here somewhere. Where are my stickers?
I mean, I have a Father Fish sticker.
Stickers.
What?
I have an area in my garage where I put stickers, and your bumper stickers up there, and your other stickers up there, with everything else.
Yeah, I have stickers. I've got this little package that Thomas made up that contains a sticker and a scraper. It's an algae scraper. And I think there's something else that goes in it. I don't know. But there's that. And I also have a bumper sticker.
And then you send those out right when anybody buys a mug. But
I send them out
just want
with every package I send out has a bumper sticker and a couple of stickers in it and a scraper and whatever else I got.
Cool. But I
so
think
you
what
can get it by ordering
Or-
something
right.
from you. But what if they just want the sticker? How much does that cost?
Well, it doesn't cost anything. I just need your I need your address, and you could you can send that to my email at fatherfish@fatherfish.net.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Chevy got it. Thank you,
Oh,
Chevy.
Chevy put it up. Okay, good.
Yeah, Chevy's got it.
Or you can say it too. Sorry, I should
And
probably.
I will.
Bless you.
I'll include all the freebies.
Okay.
Good morning, Lori. Good morning, Chevy Fish.
I don't know where Mary is this morning.
Mary?
Yeah, she was on chat this morning.
She's going to go to the hospital today.
Oh, good.
Is she?
Okay.
Okay, good.
We talked about like having days off, and I told her, if you'd like maybe Monday and Friday, and then I'll cover those days. So, and she'll cover weekends.
Wonderful.
And then that gives her a chance to keep up with her doctor's appointments during the week.
Good.
Oh, coffee.
Did you get? Oh, he made it. Okay.
I made it. Yeah,
I didn't know if you took time to make it.
I did while the music was
Well,
on.
We can ask T-Bone. So for overseas people, would you send your stickers overseas, or do you need?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, I will.
Or do you need a payment for that?
No, it's okay. It's just a few dollars. I'm happy to cover it. If somebody wants to make a super chat, that'll be dandy. But I'm happy to send them.
Okay.
So there you go.
So yes, that can
Right.
happen.
So you can get it all. You can get it all right here.
Cool.
Right here, right now. Right. So you can get it all. You can get it all right here.
Yes,
Right
Laura,
now.
say,
There.
try advertising Goodyear Blimp.
So Mary
Yeah, have
probably
you ever
won't
had
be
your
on
name
this
up on a
morning,
blimp?
Mr. Dan.
You could work
Sorry,
towards
Joey.
that.
Oh dear. Is Leslie here? Leslie's not here.
Yes, Leslie is here. So you have her question from last night that we
Yeah,
missed?
let's do that.
Okay.
Leslie, it was, who has it? It doesn't matter, I guess.
I
Simple
have a
question.
question. I can find it.
Let me get Leslie's first because that was held over from last night.
That's
I
what I
think there
got.
were a few
Oh, you've
questions
got
we
it?
missed.
Oh,
I
okay.
have.
Well, go ahead, Cass.
I listened to the tail end, so I got that much.
Okay.
Yeah.
That we missed that. Yeah.
She said, this may be a dumb question, but I've got an old tank with Eco Complete. Can I cap that with sand and get similar results?
You bet. And Stephen responded by saying yes, absolutely. He did suggest there might be an algae problem temporarily, although I have not had that happen. It's going to be interesting. We're doing a series of videos this week that are going to be kind of fundamental. One will be a review, a fairly thorough review of Diana Wallstead's book. Now, it's not going to be some 2 hour treatise. It's going to be 10 to 15 minutes. So it will not be so long that your eyes will glaze over. At least I hope not. But it will review the different sections in the book and mention a little bit about why each of them are significant. We're going to end up that review by listing the problems. Keep in mind, this book was published 20 years ago. A great deal has changed in 20 years. Sadly, the industry has not gotten the message that dirt is preferable to gravel. Nevertheless, there were a couple of problems that that Diana listed at the end of the book, and we'll go into those, and then we will show on a second video how we have dealt with, how we have applied her research, and how we have dealt with the problems that she listed. So it's going to be real worthwhile. I think it'll be a game changer. I hope it will. And I hope it will clarify the issue of why, when, and where a dirted substrate is the appropriate fix for your fish tank.
But
So
for
that'll
somebody
be
who's
out. We hope that'll be out. Those both will be out by the end of the week.
okay.
Yes, Joey.
But for somebody who's new, maybe to this whole idea, you certainly wouldn't suggest disturbing the substrate and removing the gravel. You would just cap it. You wouldn't suggest.
Yeah, to Leslie's right.
Yeah,
To
just cap.
Leslie's question.
Yeah.
Unless you've got a good reason to break the tank down,
Exactly.
which really means taking the water out. Because once you take the water out, then you can work with the substrate. Uh, if you take the water out, which means taking the plants out, taking the decorations out,
Right.
taking the fish out, the filter, whatever else is in there, everything except the substrate. At that point, you can push it all to one side, put a layer of dirt in, push it to the other side, layer the other half, level it out, and pour 2 inches of sand on top of the whole thing, and then refill it. So you can do it. You don't need to. It's not critical. If you have an old tank that's been around for a while, it's got Eco Complete or even gravel in it. All you need to do is get a bag of sand or some washed sand from a creek, stream, river, beach, whatever. Rinse it thoroughly because you're going to be pouring it through the tank. So you want to get rid of the cigarette butts and the dust. Pour it through the water so you want it about 2 inches deep, right on top of whatever you've got there now. That will create an anaerobic layer that will be capable of breaking down waste. And with that 2 inches of sand, water will percolate slowly through it. Roots will be able to grow through into it and through it, and it will create a balanced aquarium. So yes, you may do that. The downside is that that substrate may not have enough long-term nutrients in it to keep it going the year or two needed to begin to build up new nutrients. In other words, after about 1 to 2 years, closer to 2 years, the nutrients are working their way down in it. The whole thing is percolating sufficiently that it is by then beginning to be truly balanced and truly providing nutrition for the plants. I have tanks, deep substrates that are 10 years old that will grow plants like weeds. I stick the plant down in it, Amazon swords or stem plants or whatever, and they immediately begin growing. There's so much life and so much resource in that material, but it's been set up a very long time, and it has achieved the balance that the system must achieve in order to be able to support all of the life that's in the tank. But it happens. It absolutely happens. It is the miracle of life in your fish tank.
Did you see? There's a statement from David Piper that's just nice at 8:17.
No, David Piper. There's Alex at 8:17. My sister finally told me I can redo her tank. She fights with it nonstop and then saw mine. Told her it's all alive and basically maintenance free. She's now finally willing to get rid of gravel. Yeah,
Yes.
the best way, of course, is to start all over. I do a package of supplements. The importance of the supplements is that it contains elements, minerals, and the like that take some of which take a very long time to break down. The iron oxide, for example, can take a year or more to break down. What that means is that a year down the road, that system is providing iron, which is fundamental to the growth of plants. I also add calcium, and it's down there low. It's very slow to dissolve and slow to be taken up, so it lasts a very long time. The supplements, the supplements, as near as I can tell, last 3 to 4 years. By then, your tank is 5 years old, and it has had 5 years worth of detritus working its way through that substrate, being broken down into its uh, various elements and being taken up by the plants. So in that amount of time, it becomes a stable, permanent, long-term environment. And you can come back and see me in 5 years if it ain't so.
So for someone who already has a tank set up and they might want to add those supplements, that's where you could mix it into water and make the ice cubes and shove those down in, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a little tricky
Kind of
doing it, but it's
boost it.
doable.
Yeah.
Have
Don't
you
try.
tried it, Father
Yeah,
Fish? You said you're
I'm
going to
sorry.
try it. You said
What?
you were going to try that. Did you ever end up trying
Yeah,
it?
I did. It's not wonderful, but it works.
Okay.
Uh, the problem is the ice cubes melt soon
Melt so
or
fast.
start melting as soon as they hit the water. So
Right.
I came up with the notion of build making an ice cube in an ice cube, but I haven't gone that far yet. In any case, you can do it. You press them down in there. Use the little tiny trays,
So
the
this
trays that make the little tiny cubes.
this just came into my head. What if could you mix it into gelatin and then make put that down in the substrate.
Yeah, you absolutely can.
Could
I'm
that
not
work?
sure. I'm not sure how the gelatin will dissolve.
Well,
I
your
suppose
gel
it
cap
will.
dissolves.
Yeah,
It's just an idea. I don't know. Maybe it could work.
it's a good idea. Yes, Cassie.
I'll add to that because I know I've seen it in the chat before that someone took the liquid fertilizer and injected it down right next to the plant roots. Like, I don't know, with a syringe or something, and said that worked really well.
That
Father,
it's somewhat problematic because it displaces
it's got to
water
come
that's
back up.
down in there. So you're creating a water flow in the substrate.
But
Um,
they said that they noticed their plants did really well doing that.
it'll certainly get nutrition to the plants.
Right.
Maybe you can
So
get it
you
deep
know,
enough down into the soil.
yeah, a lot of ways to skin the cat. The basic principle of substrate is that it remain undisturbed permanently.
Right.
Um, which is that sounds like the absolute that it is, and it's impractical for a lot of reasons. But if you're careful when you need to disturb it, to only disturb a small area, uh, go as shallow as possible, and so forth, you'll be okay.
And then you have that supplement available in your shop. What's is it up there? Because I'm trying to find
Yeah,
it.
it's on. Yes, it's on the website. I believe it's also on GetGills.
What's the website again,
Okay, it
though?
is on Get Goats.
FatherFishAquarium.com.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not there, and it looks like nothing's up there right now. Someone might need to check the website.
Jason may be working on it.
Okay, because there's nothing there right now.
J Dog might be working on it.
Well, with all the
Don't
problems,
go there, guys. Not yet.
GetGills has it listed. It's $20 plus shipping. Shipping is $15, I think.
And I've mentioned before, like
It will not ship overseas, by the way.
I really think you ought to put it in like a small container like this, so people can sprinkle it into their 5-gallon and 10-gallon aquariums. You know, like a little sprinkle.
Yeah.
That would be
Yeah,
cool.
that's what. Well, I haven't done that because my purpose or my intent is to keep all of the nutrients out of the water column.
Right.
Right. Well, I mean, but you know, for those of us setting up a small aquarium, you know, and we still want to add it to the soil and maybe sprinkle it on the top of the soil before capping it with the sand. And just have like a nice little bottle where we could do that.
Good morning, Whips World. And yes, everybody in here has a wrench because
He's laughing at me. He's like, I don't know why you want to do that.
I know. Only
he's
cat
very liberal with the
system.
wrenches.
Then I could be like, look, I used Father Fish's supplements.
I'm going to wind up having to do it. You do realize.
And then it'd be like $5.
Well, speaking of that, you know what I'm going to ask you.
Say it. Say it. Say it.
No. Shells.
What?
Pretty shells. What about those pretty shells?
Aha, yes, I did. I did it.
Did it?
I did it. I did.
Yes. Yes.
What? I missed it. Was this in the evening?
I don't know, Cassie.
Might have been. I don't remember.
We're talking offline again.
Yeah, I was.
No.
It was online. I was complaining about the fact that my shell dwellers, which
Oh,
have had in tanks for 8 months, have not spawned.
oh.
So Joey decided that it was because I didn't have pretty snail shells.
If they had prettier, little
Nicer
condos
homes.
or what, they'd like it better. It's like And so I've been teasing him, and I was like, I will laugh hysterically if they breed because you put in pretty shells.
Okay, so then do you have pretty shells?
Yeah, I do. I had shells years ago. I purchased a lot of products, packaged products that were all designed and packaged for hermit crabs. I
Mm.
had uh, I had some friends who decided that they were going to do hermit crabs as a product line at flea markets. So they bought little cages, hermit crabs, and a huge line of packaged materials, all kinds of things, misters, shells, sand, food, everything imaginable in these little hermit crab plastic packages. They bought all that stuff. They hauled it around to a half a dozen flea markets. Never sold one. Gave up the notion. And then sold it all to me for the most they could get, which wasn't much. And I don't think I've ever sold much of it either, and I've still got some kicking around. So I found a couple of bags that had shells, and I opened them up and put them in. So
All
yeah,
right.
we have colored shells. There is in Sarasota the worldwide center for hermit crab sales, um, and they manufacture and sell painted shells for about $1 a piece or something. I don't know. They're
I've
probably
seen
more
some.
now, but they're all sorts of designs: football team designs, song, just everything imaginable. And
Well,
I don't even remember what they're called. It's hermit crabs something in Sarasota, Florida.
well, they seem big because every time I've ever been to Florida, everybody's selling hermit crabs, so it must be somewhat popular somewhere around there.
I think it's
I
because
tried it. I tried it when I was a kid, so it was popular when I was younger.
everybody does it once. Everybody gets to do it once. The one that was popular when I was a kid, they had them at the circus. We'd go to the circus, and they would have the little green animals with a ribbon tied around their neck and a pin on the other end of the ribbon. And you pinned it to yourself and had this little animal running around. And they sold
Wow,
those suckers for $1 a piece. I got
I've
one of
never heard
them.
of that.
Yeah.
No.
Well, that goes back to the 50s. That's
Wow.
when the circus was had their winter quarters here in Venice, Florida, and
Okay.
before the advent of the Cuban anole, which drove out the green anole. So, so it was several lifetimes ago, but it was.
Well, Alishon would like to
Hmm.
know what species of shell dweller you're going to be housing in those fancy shells.
Well, I've got two. I have sunspot, and the other one is the common one, the name of which always escapes me. I have certain blocks in my brain um, that
Me
that
too.
are fish name blocks, and for whatever reason, I never ever am able to think of the names of those fish. Never. They just won't come to me. I can
Okay.
got it. It's like it's a block. I can read it on a page, turn around, and I won't remember it. It'll be gone. But that's one of them. It's the common of the shell dwellers, the
Okay.
most common, and the other is the sunspot. And the other one is another. The other one I can never remember the name of is a very common swallowtail Tanganyika cichlid that everybody knows the name of in the world except me. And
Except for you. Do you
yeah,
have
I
it written on the tank?
won't ever come to me. I've got it written on the tank, right?
I'm just teasing you.
I do.
Okay, good. I can't
Aragonite.
remember.
So T-Bone was talking about his sand again, and he went to his local fish store and was only able to find the cichlid sand. Should he use that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. Should be.
That's fine. Any sand will do. Doesn't
Chevy
matter.
was saying it does contain I'm sorry, can I say this? Aragonite to buffer the pH.
Yeah,
It
which is
does.
okay. Yeah, that's
It does.
okay.
Yeah.
It ain't perfect, but it'll work. Did I put pink shells in? Tennessee wants to know. Yes, I did. I found a pink shell. I want you to know.
Can you get, we need to see it. Take a picture of it or something.
Oh, dear God.
We're going to need to see it.
Gee whiz. Honestly.
Look, I'm a pushy broad. Let's see it.
But you also really love those decorative rocks, so I can see how these shells
Yeah,
would
really.
be up your alley, Joey.
I mean, if I had shell dwellers, I would definitely have pretty shells in there. I mean, that's.
You could put a shell in right now.
I
And
dare
won't the
say
shells
you would.
like raise
Look,
the
I'm
trees
crying
as well?
over it. It's bringing me to tears.
Will shells work the same, like the coral to help raise the pH?
I guess so. I'm sure.
Oh, Chevy put the name in. Neolamphalagus multifasciatus. Is that it? Or close?
No.
No? Okay.
No,
God.
it's much more common one than that.
Well,
Much more common than that one.
I'm sorry, Amber, that happened. That sounds
Did I
terrible.
miss something?
At 8:30, Amber just added a trio of Maltese in a 20-liter. Not gallons? You know,
And it did it not work out? Because you said I'm sorry.
The male spawned with both females 3 times and before they murdered him overnight.
Oh,
No.
yeah, I'm sorry.
So, yikes. The females are co-parenting the fry.
All right.
But that's
Good. Oh, look at him go.
Gotta mute.
Have a good-
Ask and you shall receive, right?
There you go.
Here we go.
Yay.
He's giving,
Honest to God.
Good morning, Fishmar.
he does it for me. I don't think he likes to get up and walk around.
I know. I'm just, giving him something to do.
Right. Here we go.
Yay. And there was somebody else that just came in too.
All right. This is one. This is the one with the sunspots.
Oh,
You see there's a little blue shell. The little white shell here, the bigger ones.
Yeah.
There's somebody just darted out of a shell.
They're loving it.
They're hiding now. They're not going to let us see them. Up down there. Can you see all the way in the back? Maybe. There's another one. There they are. There they are.
Good. They're good sized shells too, so that's good.
And there's the other. There's the other one. Look, pink shell.
Pink.
See that?
I see it.
There's
the green one. The green
there
looks
you go.
I hope you have more in case somebody wants to buy one now that they're going to see it in your tank.
I may have more. A bunch of shells in the back. This thing is full of shells.
Awesome.
I don't know what the deal is. There are about 6 fish in here. I think they must all be males. I don't know. Kind of crazy.
Well, that would pose a
So
problem.
there's
a hobby for you. The hobby will drive you crazy.
what else we got going on here while I'm back here. Who are you? Sinspire. A little Sinspire I'm hiding out. I have keyholes. Look at the keyholes. With some pandas. Look at that coming right up to say hello. Keyhole cichlids, little babies. And panda
That's cool.
cories, little babies.
Your plants look great.
Mm-hmm.
Of course.
Yeah, plants. Yeah, we just got new plants in.
They
So
look
we're
nice.
loaded with plants now.
Loaded.
Loaded. What's in here? Don't know what's in here.
So I didn't think to ask you about the names of those shell dwellers when you were standing in front of the tank, but that's okay.
Right. Yeah, I forgot already. Oh, I'll tell you what. I think I can look it up. Oh, there is something else I do want to show you.
Okay.
Okay, here's my handy dandy manual. This is African Cichlid genus Gallery.
Oh,
My
nice.
cheat sheet. There it is,
Get that?
Neolamprologus burchardi. That's the one I could never remember.
Okay,
Let's
somebody
see if the shell
mentioned
dweller
that
is
in
in
here.
here. Shell dweller is probably not in here.
Okay.
No, I do have a Devoicey, but I got something really interesting over here.
Okay.
I have a tank full of these fish. Can you see them?
You said leaf fish?
No, these. These are a cross. These are a cross between a burchardi and a.
Oh, he muted himself.
Yeah, he cut out after the burchardi, and now he's gonna forget when he walks away. No.
You're muted, Father Fish.
And I'm sure he's saying all kinds of great things. We can't hear him.
It's because the phone, like, it's so hard. It's so easy to press buttons on accident.
Oh no, I get it. I get it.
But I don't know if he can hear us. I guess not.
I guess not. So we're just gonna watch. What?
Enlarge your screens.
Oh, Amber has a good one. Neolamprologus similis. Maybe that's it.
Ow. I had itching in that. That hurt to itch. Ow. Thomas doesn't come in until later. I think more like 10.
Closer to 10, I think. Yeah. Because that's when they
And
open
it's,
officially.
what is it, like an hour drive for him to get there too?
I
Yeah,
think it's
about that.
I think
Right.
it's a ways, and then, but they don't
Oh,
officially open till 10, I think.
We couldn't hear you, Father Fish, because you muted yourself.
Yeah, we couldn't hear the last part. You get to that tank and said, "Look at these babies."
Now we got.
And I got a watery eye problem this morning.
All right. There. All right.
Now we
I
got
get back out here.
Yeah, we're echoing.
That's better.
I like that black tank.
Take 2.
Okay. Let's play with the birds a bit. Every time I walk past the birds,
Oh,
I
they
stick
want
my
to say
hand
hi.
in the cage and get them to come up on it. There we go. There we
That's
go.
cute.
Who else is coming? There we go. There we go. 1, 2. 1, 2. Come on.
Cute.
And this one plays hard to get.
I can see that.
There we go. The birds. We're going to show you. This is Thomas's creation. Ooh, there's a big frog right in the front. This is a vivarium
Okay.
with big salamander who I can't find. And this little hardsie in it because there's nets
Well, I hope it
sort
didn't
of
get out.
fogged up a little. But there are 2 salamanders. There's some veil chameleons right up there. The veil
And he just
chameleon,
set that
there's
up for
another
them?
one right down there. Moving around.
Is that a brand new
Salamanders. There's a frog. Oh, here's a salamander. Stand back there. I don't know if you can see him. Not like that. Peacock bats. And some discus. And angels. And other stuff. All right. That's it.
So it cuts in and out because of the internet.
Yeah.
Signal
And
is
then
kind of
realized
poor
I
there.
was trying to ask him a question, and you're right.
The little bumblebee cat. Other little stuff. Okay. That's it. I'm done now.
Okay.
We're going back up front. These are mollies, mostly. The Yucatan Molly, not the
I'm
Florida
done.
native. Platies, tetras, goldfish, turtles, poor goldfish. Stuff and nonsense. Oh, we got these beautiful, beautiful racks. These are reptiles set up
Wow.
as reptile tanks, and he's actually he's in the atrium. The big male chameleon looking at us through the glass. All right. Good.
What's
We're done.
upstairs? I always see those
I
stairs.
gotta
like,
shut it off.
I mean, I don't keep reptiles, but if I did, those tanks on wheels look really cool. If I kept
They
them,
are wonderful.
they look great.
Yeah, they're made by a friend locally who's done a lot of different kinds of work for me.
Yeah.
He's made about 100 of them to house his collection of snakes. He does Florida milk snakes and king snakes. That's it. That's all he
Oh
does.
wow.
And he's a retired scientist with the Park Service in Florida.
Hmm. I like that tank by your office. I caught a glimpse of it. It was like all black.
The
I
what?
liked that. There was a fish tank when you went out of your office area. It looked like it was all black. I was like, ooh, I like that.
All black. I don't know.
Did it
I
have
don't
a black
know. I
cover?
didn't see it. But he's supposed to be setting up the salt water, I thought.
Yeah, I haven't done it. Thomas has been on my butt to do it, and I've been just holding off. Let's see. I wonder. Alex asked a while back if I've experimented with dry starting tanks or high humidity, inundated substrate but not fully flooded. Yeah, I have.
Huh.
It is a good way to get cover plants going strongly. I've done it. My problem with it is my substrate. Once I do that, then I can't cap it, and I wind up with excessive nutrition in the water column. So it doesn't work for me real well. Is the issue?
It never fails that you find a question or see a question that Joey and I have missed.
I know.
Never
Well, and I
fails.
admit that I was watching him walk around, so
I'm
I
like,
wasn't.
how does he do that?
I don't know.
I'm just keeping an eye on you all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You are, and you definitely have your eye
Mhm.
peeled.
Well, there's a lot of talk about, I believe, shell dwellers in here. Obviously, we were
They're
on,
such a magnificent fish. I need to get more. I need to do it again. You know
So,
what's curious to me? Now here we go. This is a perfect example of the problem I have in the community I'm in. Shell dwellers are an enormously popular fish. In an environment where there is a substantial base of hobbyists, they will last one day in a local store. I've had those fish in those tanks for 8 months. I've yet to have one person buy one in 8 months. It
so we
just
just need to figure out how to get them into your store because if they
makes
come
me
in, they're going to
crazy.
buy.
I don't know. I think the problem is I'm in the wrong community.
Right.
I'm in a retirement community. Now there are other retirement communities around. I don't know. I don't think it's them. I think it's me. I think it's I think it's simply my predilection for making things difficult. And I do that by loading the tanks up with plants so you can't see the fish. And so
Yeah, we were talking about that.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
true. People
Yeah.
have to, they got to search for what they want.
Yeah.
It's because it's a hobby room, it's not a fish store. That's kind of the bottom line. So, as such, it's a break even operation, it's not a money making operation. And that's absolutely true. But it's what I've decided to do. Daffodil and Brochardi, no.
Um,
Interesting, but no. It's Burchardi and Julidachromis, which is
Oh, okay.
even more strange. A daffodil and Burchardi would be pretty simple. They're kissing cousins. Um, but
Question.
the Burchardi and the Julidachromis are two entirely different species of fish. And yet here we've got a tank full of fry from them. I also have in another tank I didn't show you some 3 to 4 inch South American cichlids that look for all the world like a jaguar. Their parents were the male, a Texas cichlid, and the female, a red-based snook. Now, I've heard of snook breeding with other species of fish, so I'm not too amazed by that. But what's interesting about these young is they don't look like either one of the parents.
I've never seen that cross.
Probably never will either. You know, I've had somebody else had a red-based snook that spawned with something. I don't remember what.
Amber's
Tilapia,
asking,
maybe.
I
Couldn't
think
have
the
been a
shell goes
tilapia.
Similis?
What? Similus?
Similis?
No. Oh,
No?
Similus. Oh, the
Yeah,
shell dweller.
sorry.
Yes.
Neolanceolatus.
Thank you. That's right.
Amber. Big City Bettis. Ding ding.
Thank you, Amber. Similus it is. And Joan suggesting selling them online. He certainly can do that.
Absolutely.
My issue at this point is I can't guarantee a pair. And
So
I've had them long enough, they're mature. So I need to get more.
So buy a half dozen, you might get a pair.
Yeah, probably.
Just buy more. Coffee has a question at 8:46.
Sure.
And I'm not sure about the spelling on something, but my new sump/tank setup has a wire,
That's
A
a what?
weird, yeah.
a weir, and it has bottom slots for substrate. Is this okay for soil, or should I block the bottom slot?
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Some tank setup has a weir and has bottom slots for substrate. The problem is you don't want water flowing through that like an under gravel filter kind of thing. Um, you do not want to mechanically pull water through the substrate. You want it to go through naturally. You want it rather to be a a depository rather than a filter. In a filter, typically, uh, the water or the liquid is driven through, or whatever, air, whatever it is driven through the filter material and comes out the other end cleansed. That's not what we're doing. We're not doing a filter. We're doing uh, a, 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 a permanent substrate. We're doing a bottom, and the bottom needs to be inviolate. That is to say, it needs to be something in which elements precipitate into it rather than are driven through it. So if you have, for example, a, a, uh, a strata on the bottom, the plate of an under gravel filter, for example, I recommend you take the tube out, leave that substrate in there, and just allow it to accumulate waste because it will, and it'll function as a very deep um, anaerobic layer. So I guess the answer is, if I understand what you're saying, is this okay for a soil tank, or should I block the bottom slits up? If the bottom slits are going to have water flowing through them, then that's not going to work. Um, I have some tank setups on my saltwater systems, on freshwater too, for that matter. I have the water driving in. I usually have a bag, a cloth bag that captures particulate matter. And then I have a deep substrate in the bottom of the sump, 6 to 8 inches. In my saltwater, I've also got a lot of rock in there. So the water flows through and it precipitates into the substrate. It's not driven into it. And then a pump at the other end is taking water up from the water column, not through the substrate. The substrate is kept inviolate. It's kept separate from the water that the pump is taking up. So the pump is essentially taking up water that's flowing across the top, but enough of that particulate matter and water flow gets down into the substrate. I also have deep substrate in my main tank, so it's really both. And I depend on the natural filtration of that substrate to do its job rather than trying to force water through it. If I force water through it, then I destroy the anaerobic layer because I'm bringing oxygenated water into the entire substrate. And so there is then no 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 layer that is um, anaerobic. Curiously, 20 years ago, anaerobics were still not understood. 20 years ago, Diana Wallstead found that anaerobics were one of the biggest problems she faced in maintaining a dirted tank. We have since learned what that is and how to deal with it. So you don't find a solution to that problem in her book. She came up with it later on in her continuing research, and we've adapted that and some other solutions. But that's an issue a lot of people still to this day don't understand is that anaerobics are fundamental to a healthy environment. They must, however, be kept absolutely separate from the water column. And you do that with 2 inches of sand. At 2 inches of sand, the water that's flowing through it will be deoxygenated by the time it hits here. Now, what happens when it is? What's created? Aha! What's created is CO2. It is created in substantial quantities, such that a deep substrate provides more CO2 to plants than a CO2 injector can even possibly provide in the water column. So there you have that. You have the solution to CO2 with the deep substrate as opposed to CO2 injection in the tank, which means that the rooted plants are getting CO2 through their roots rather than through their leaves. They're releasing O2, oxygen, through their leaves. They're assimilating, taking up CO2 through their roots. That's not to say anything about the plants that take all of their nutritions out of the water column. Plants such as anubias, java fern, java moss, duckweed, all of the other plants that do not send roots down into the substrate. Those are all in a completely different category and need to be dealt with separately. I have noticed that in the deep substrate, such plants do extremely well. There is sufficient nutrition in any case, in an old tank, to be able to provide adequate nutrition to non rooted plants. So, long answer to Alex's question.
Yeah. So
Which makes
this goes
me ask
back.
the question.
Yes, Cassie.
So when I went back to watch a Diana Walstead interview, she was saying that yes, the plants get the CO2 through their roots, through the substrate, but then they suck it all up, and there's like no more CO2 after about a year, according to her.
That's the issue with the additives. That's why we do additives. In order to continue to supply an adequate amount of nutrients in that substrate to give the system time to build up a nutrition base. And it takes 2 to 5 years for that to happen. So by adding all of these nutrients, we're increasing the life of the substrate beyond that 1 to 2 years to 2 to 5 years. And by the end of that period of time, nutrition has been able to build up and flow through sufficiently to be able to provide a continuing source of nutrition. It's a very, very, very slow process. Uh, there are critics who claim that the process is so slow as to be negligible. Well, if that's true, then the movement of mountains is negligible. There is no such thing as negligible movement. It all matters. It's simply a matter of structuring to be able to accommodate the time that it takes for nutrition to work its way through the substrate in order to build it up sufficiently that it will be able to provide nutrition. After all, nutrition in ponds does not run out in a year. I mean, think about it. It's permanent. It is a substrate that provides nutrition permanently. And that's because it's been there for typically hundreds of years. So the issue is, how can we accommodate this system to a glass box, to a fish tank? And this is one way to do it. May not be the best way. I've found that in 10 years it works. I have systems 10 years old, set up as deep substrates that still are providing sufficient nutrition to rooted plants that they are growing prolifically. I can stick plants down in it and they grow like weeds. So it does work.
Mm-hmm.
Again, what you have to understand is that Walstead is really at the beginning of all of this research. She's
Right.
the one that broke through the the uh, the gravel floor and caused us to see the value and the importance of using soils in our tanks. Now, the initial research did not answer all the problems and all the questions. She left some of them. There continued to be some. What I've tried to do is structure ways to overcome some of these problems so that we can have a longer lasting tank. What happens in 20 years? I don't know. Not been around doing it long enough to know. I don't have any 20-year-old tanks set up as deep substrate.
What made you want to start
So,
it 20 years ago and then leave them alone?
right, exactly. Um, you do the best you can with what you know. Uh, and we've learned some things along the way. We learned some things. We learned a lot of things since the publication of this book. This book was the breakthrough research. This book codified and made scientifically viable what we have known for 100 years. But it finally put it in a context that made it verifiable, testable, and provable. But it left a lot unsaid. Mainly, what it left unsaid is, how do you continue this for the next 5, 10, 20 years? And that's what we're trying to do. And we've come up with a few solutions that seem to work well to achieve that. It's all experimental, It's all trial and error. We do the best we can with what we've got and what we've learned. What we've learned since the publication of the book, as has Diana learned since the publication of the book.
I'm sure she has.
I
My
know she
question
has.
was, though, I think you missed it or didn't hear me. What made you want to start doing that deep sand bed 10 years ago and then just leave it alone? Like, what was your thoughts at that time and as it progressed?
I was working with a friend, learning how to set up saltwater tanks because I wanted to get into saltwater seriously. And what I discovered is through organizations such as GARF, which GARF.org, it apparently is no longer online. GARF, Geothermal Aquatic Research Facility in Idaho, sits on top of geothermal vent. They developed a system of maintaining an enormous variety of bacteria from all over the world in their substrate. And they did this by collecting from all over the world, notably collecting in um, uh, what are the trees that grow down into the water?
Mangroves?
Pardon?
The mangrove tree?
Mangroves, yeah. Mangrove mangrove forests that grow down into the water have the highest level of bacteria that is available anywhere. And the mangrove groves in Australia are some of the highest yet. So they collected from there. Their bacteria base, which may no longer exist at that facility, I don't know. But they had a bacteria base that was profound. And they sold it, and we bought it, and we inculcated it into our salt systems with a deep substrate. So we started with mud. They called it miracle mud. We put a 2 to 3 inch layer of mud down, and then we capped it with sand, typically sand, sometimes crushed coral. They found that sand worked better. So the early stages of this were really done in the saltwater hobby. Now, not everybody who's raising coral in saltwater buys into it even today, even though it's a 25, 30-year-old technology. There are plenty of people raising corals today that poo poo the very notion of a deep substrate in salt, much less in fresh. So it's not by any means a popular approach. More's the pity, because it is vastly, vastly more successful than gravel. Gravel guarantees failure 99% of the time. I'm going to say that again. A gravel substrate guarantees failure 99% of the time, particularly with the new hobbyist who doesn't have a clue how to maintain anything like a healthy environment. So, what's the solution? The solution is to create an environment that takes care of itself. That's what a natural environment is. And that's what we have the option of being able to create. And it works. It works. Try it. You'll love it. It works.
True enough.
What else we got?
Well, there's a couple things.
Well,
but
I think people were listening, but Coffee just responded as well. What did you find, Joey?
I have something back that was a statement / question in the shell dwellers, and then Larry D had a question about tank meats. I think for
Yeah, go ahead, Joey.
maybe.
Yeah.
But anyway, Fishy and Tanktix wanted to know. He said some shell dwellers like tank mates. Have you tried adding guppies?
No, I have not. That's interesting. I will try that.
Okay, so that's something.
Good
And then
thought.
Larry D had,
Dither fish.
yeah, right, the other fish. And then, do you see that Larry D question, Cassie?
Someone had a question about
Oh.
what to add as a tank mate. Yeah, I
Right,
remember
for Scarlet Baddis. Yeah,
Right. For a 20-gallon.
that was Larry D.
Coffee is talking about gravel and using mixed river sand gravel. So long as it slows the flow of water. The problem with gravel is the water flows through it too easily. So unless you've got it a foot deep, you're not going to be able to get anaerobics, which means waste is not going to be broken down. And that's really the key to the system, to be able to break down the waste. So it's not simply foul mud sitting in the bottom of your tank, 2 inches under your gravel. That has to be cleaned out periodically or it fouls the tank. Uh, so we're creating an alternative to that. And if you've got a sand gravel mix, you probably have got the right consistency because sand fills in the gaps between the gravel. So the gravel works like sand. It the uh, the the texture of it is a sand texture. It's not a gravel texture. If you get my drift.
Okay, so can we go back to Larry D's question? I think we've got it.
Yeah, what is
He
it?
wants to know the tank mates for Scarlet Baddis.
Come again?
What he could keep for good tank mates for Scarlet Baddis.
In a 20.
In a 20, yeah.
Yeah. Scarlet Baddis tend to be a bottom dweller. They tend to live low down on the bottom. They don't come up top. So anything that's going to stay at the top, tetras, for example, will do fine. You don't want an aggressive fish. You don't want something that's going to chase them and go after them. Something that'll sit at the top, danios, little danios like zebras, glowfish, if you will.
What would be an aggressive fish? Just like a gourami, maybe?
Well, like a blue Grammy, yeah. Um,
I can't think of many, so I'm just kind of
cichlids,
curious.
virtually all of the cichlids. I
But they're
would
not
not,
going to be in a 20 because they're too big, right?
I would not. Well, you can do it. I would not put angels with Scarlet Baddis because once the angel hits about 2 inches, he'll eat them for lunch.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I just classify those as larger fish anyways. It wouldn't be in a 20.
Yeah, a lot of people keep angels in 20s, and they get too big
Right.
because you get them little. You get them like you get a
Yeah.
little 1 inch fish,
Right.
and it grows into a 6 inch fish. And you maybe did not anticipate that.
No. And this woman was at the fish store and that she wanted angels as her first fish. And I was asking her, so what size tank do you have? And I think she said a 10. And I'm like, ooh, okay, well.
They'll be all right in there for a couple
Might
of
be
months.
okay to start, but yeah, you might want to upgrade after that.
After 3 or 4 months, you need to either bring them back or get a bigger tank. Coffee is saying angels like deep water. Yeah, they do.
Right.
Yeah. I lost the question.
Smaller
saw that-
rasboras. Chevy's talking about rasboras. That's always a good choice. Or the little tetras. Any of the little tetras. Little rasboras.
Oh, George
Can't
Trotter
find this-
has a question
Yeah, that was the
at
question. I was looking
9:06.
for. Yeah.
And then Coffee has another question.
Go ahead with George.
George would like to know, how did you come up with your ingredients for your dirt?
Yeah, I saw that earlier.
Yeah.
A lot of it came out of Diana Wallstead's book, in which she talks about any number of minerals, such as iron, calcium, and so forth. A lot of it's just kind of basic research and trying to find things that resolve certain issues. One of the issues is maintaining pH. Well, you maintain pH by keeping the carbonates up. So I add calcium carbonates to that mix. that's kind of how I did it. Um, I had blood meal or bone meal in order to keep the organics up, to provide adequate organics that'll be there for a while. Keep in mind that all of this stuff is mixed in with soil and buried 3 to 4 inches deep in the tank, so it doesn't dissipate into the water column. It stays down in there more or less permanently, and it goes through a process. It goes through an organic process and a chemical process of breaking down, of chelating. If you know anything about chelation, it becomes accessible over time to plants. It's not all accessible right away. Some of it, like the iron oxide, has to break down in order to be accessible to the roots of plants. It has to go through an organic process, and this is another thing that's critical to understand about inorganics. That that roots the hair roots on the root system. A plant root, is covered in thousands of tiny little hairs that are virtually invisible. They run the whole length of that root. They create Those root hairs create an anaerobic environment in which the minerals that are accessible to that root are broken down and assimilated by the plant. So the root itself creates anaerobics, making it all the more vital to have an anaerobic environment that those roots can move into and more easily be able to facilitate the uptake of nutrition like that. What else?
I don't know. I was just looking at it. Looks like
Coffee had one at 9:05, right?
What is it?
And going back.
there were a couple.
Was
I'm
that
just
the
looking. I
one?
think we got 49 watching and 46 thumbs up, so we're pretty
That's
close.
right.
Gravel
Anybody
and
could
straw?
give us
I don't
those
think
thumbs up for Father Fish.
I lost it.
Only one thumbs
Good morning,
down.
Tanisio.
Yeah,
Oh.
well,
Oh, there it is. 9:08. Sorry. Father Fish. So a middle layer, for example, compost sand from fine gravel for the top. I guess he's wanting to know for a middle layer. I don't know. That we don't do middle layers, so we do top layers and
it was at 846, 22 COS. Want to pull water through the compost? What's he talking?
9:08 at 9:08. Coffee's asking another question about the substrate.
The answer to the question at 846 coffee is yes. You do not want to pull water through the compost or through the substrate. And somebody was laughing.
Oh,
And
I thought we
one of
answered
those nasty, bah! Who did that? Who did that?
I
And then,
thought we answered that. That was fishing.
and I think Larry D was asking, maybe he said something about cory cats. Maybe he's asking about cory cats with the scarlet bathus.
I think he's asking about companion fish, and he said,
Right.
and then
So
I
scarlet
answered
bathus.
him, the pygmy corridors are another bottom dweller fish.
Right.
They're fine, but you're going to have like all bottom dwellers, I think.
Well, I don't think they'd bother them.
What?
But you're correct. They'd be on the bottom.
1 second. I will be right with you.
Oh, where are we?
Good morning, Edmund.
I'll be
I'm not
talking about
seeing.
my potting shed, right? Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't see anything else. Do you, Cassie?
Just the coffee question.
Right.
But we're going back and
Middle
forth
layer.
hard. We're going
Fine gravel.
We
we're
are
bouncing
going
around
back.
a lot between substrate and then
Yeah.
fish.
But that's
Yeah, I
how
think
they're
the
coming in.
sand, the sand is, I've done some tanks with two layers of sand, a coarse sand and a fine sand, with the fine sand on top. I rather expected the fine sand would sift down through the coarse sand, but it has not, and that tank's been set up for about 8 years, and the fine sand is still on top, and it's really a very nice tank. Um, I my sense is that it's gilding the lily. Um, it's kind of an unnecessary embellishment. It's kind of what happens when a woman is putting on her makeup before a date, and her date is late to get there, and she keeps messing with the makeup. It's sort of like that. When you achieve perfection, leave it alone.
Right.
That's a good analogy. Edmund Dantes has a question.
Yeah.
He wants to know your opinion on root tabs.
I like root tabs. I don't use them because I don't need them. Um, but I like them, and I think if you want to, if you want to, if you have a substrate that is not gravel, if you put them in gravel, you're simply going to create an algae bloom because they're going to flood into the water column. If you've got sand on top of gravel and you want to provide nutrients, push them all the way to the bottom. And don't do one or two, do a bunch of them. Push them all the way to the bottom. I use Osmocote. I add Osmocote to my supplements. Now, why would I do that? Again, in order to ensure that I have adequate organics and adequate nutrition in that substrate going in. In other words, what I'm trying to do is create 500 years of nutrition in 10 minutes, which is, of course, an impossible and absurd task. So I do everything I can think of. Worm casings. I love worm casings. Throw them in. They go down in the bottom. They go down in the substrate with a sand cap on them. So they're not out flooding the water. They're staying down in there and they are percolating. They're percolating like boiling coffee. They're percolating. And it takes sometimes years for that percolation to occur and for chelation to occur. Chevy made the interesting and important observation that chelation simply means becoming more available as nutrition to the water column, as it breaks down, as things like uh, like iron oxide break down, they become more available, more accessible as nutrition, as chelation occurs, and sometimes that can be a fiery chemical process. You may have two chemicals in there at war with each other for a time. After that calms down, there will be new elements created. There will be a deeper nutrition created. You may find gas bubbling up through the sand. That's not anything to worry about. It's not going to foul the tank. It's not going to pollute the water. It's it's for the most part completely harmless. It's nitrogen that's bubbling off. Uh, if it is swamp gases, you may catch a whiff once in a while, but that's unlikely, and it's not going to in any way disturb the process, so long as that sand is at least 2 inches deep. The anaerobic gas will be itself will be broken down as it passes up through the sand. It doesn't go vroom, all of a sudden. It comes up more slowly, and oxygen is attacking it and breaking it down. So by the time it hits the surface, It's no longer anaerobic. I mean, you got to think about this stuff and not worry about it and trust that nature naturates. Nature naturates. Nature knows
Okay.
how to take care of itself. And it does a really, really good job. Better than any of us can do to it, for it, or about it. All we need to do is give it a chance. And that's all we're trying to do is give it a chance in our little glass boxes.
So we're gonna call
Amen.
that naturating now. Okay.
Nature naturating, right. You like that?
I don't know why it got brought up as a problem to begin with.
What's that?
I don't know why people were scared of it to begin with. Like, what caused that fear? You know,
What do you mean?
The idea of releasing poisons in the tank, in the water,
Right.
I mean, people get panicked about all kinds of things. We do, after all, have
right?
have have a lot of people who are utterly panicked about our environment.
But
Utterly
True.
panicked
did they
about.
witness it happening? I'm just wondering, like, did someone witness it and then created this like fear, this widespread pandemic fear of these gas
It's not how
bubbles?
it starts. I don't
Of the
think
gas building up.
I just don't know how it
Yeah.
started.
Yeah, it starts with "Oh my God, oh my God." That's how
Right.
it starts. It starts with right. It starts with chicken licking. The sky is falling.
Falling.
What's
Yeah.
that, David? You'll have to type it in. I missed it.
Yeah, he says that's an awesome T-shirt.
I don't know.
idea.
Yeah, like what was it? Type it in.
Maybe it's let nature naturate. Was that what you were referring to, David?
Right.
We got it, and I liked the poop one last night too. Sorry, I did. I liked
I
it.
saw that. I have horses. Can I just swap the horse? Are you talking about that one? Can I swap that with the
Yeah,
cow?
go. What do you? Yeah, do it. Just do it.
Okay.
Just do it. Do whatever you want.
Who was
Just
it?
do it.
I had it on here.
Okay. Sam Dan says my
Oh,
angel
BJ.
is not taking food properly.
Yeah, I'm looking at that. His growth
Okay.
from a small size to current 3. Awesome. Da-da-da. Now he's skittish. Worry of food. One might be the problem. Gee whiz, Sam.
We started with poor tank maintenance.
Probably has a mental health problem. Sort of sounds like.
Well, thank you, JR.
So it needs
JR Patter's
therapy?
answering my question.
What's your question, Cass?
JR Patter is saying it started with poor tank maintenance, creating dead zones in the tank.
Where are you?
I think that was the answer to why did the air pockets, become so crazy, people being scared of them. The dead zones.
Right. The gas is
Created by poor tank maintenance. Yeah.
Well, yeah. If you have gravel in your tank, and the tank crashes and burns, then your first predilection is, oh, he created poisonous gases and the like, which is probably true. Actually, it probably did. Thomas just walked in, and look what he brought us.
Garlic.
Garlic cloves, you bet. Our new supplement. We're going to be supplementing garlic cloves to everybody. Yeah, I don't know. It's I was looking at Sam Dam. I don't mean to be flippant with you, Sam. Um, is that the only fish you're having trouble with in the tank? If so, my original comment might be appropriate. It could obviously have some kind of organic problem, uh, something physically wrong with it. there could be another fish in the tank that is suddenly more dominant and that is oppressing it. That can very easily happen, particularly with a fish that has enjoyed dominance for a period of time. And then all of a sudden, some whippersnapper comes along and beats his butt into the ground. It can cause um, a fairly severe reaction, not unlike a mental health problem, which kind of gets me back to my original comment. I would check first for any kind of potential damage to the fish, um, any potential disease that would cause it to stop eating. But my hunch is since it was a dominant fish that is ruling the roost, somebody or something has uh, uh, has supplanted its throne and cast it down, and it's suffering the consequences of that. Try taking it out and putting it in a tank by itself for a time and see if it gets better. Cassie, what are you referring to?
Canistio had a question about Get Gill's stores.
Yeah, I
Oh,
think we're
right.
all kind of answering
And I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
saying, it's to me, it seems like an Etsy or a Square store for fish
Yeah,
hobby.
Aquavid
It's
is
run by
another
Dan's
one.
Fish. Yeah.
Aquavid's another one. Aquavid's been around a very, very long time.
It's a place where Dan's Fish runs it. It's a place where everybody can go and open a site and sell
Yeah, it's a cooperative
their
system.
product.
It's
Yeah.
exactly what it is. Yeah.
And he
But
takes a small percentage
right.
and it enables you to get a lot of people viewing your store.
But yeah, and it seems like
Another,
it's a way for any like more like hobbyist people to sell their fish.
yeah,
Rather
it's primarily YouTube.
Everybody.
It's
Everybody.
primarily YouTube.
Yeah.
A bigger site is Aquavid, um,
Yes.
that has been around for 25 years at least. Um, that has quite a lot listed on it. Something if you buy fish, you need to check it out. eBay also sells fish, although I've
right.
never I've never done that.
I feel like eBay
I
was probably there first because it's been around so long.
No, Aquabid probably was first.
Aquavid was first.
Yeah.
eBay came on later. eBay did not allow fish sales or animal sales for a long time. It's only been
You're right.
more
Yeah.
recently they've allowed it.
Yep.
Fish Stream is asking where is Father Fish shop? What town? It's in Venice,
Venice.
Florida, which is about 15 miles south of Sarah. Well, it's adjacent, really, to Sarasota, Florida, which is about an hour south of Tampa, Florida. So it's on the west coast, the south coast of the west coast, north of north of Englewood, north of Punta Gorda. So kind of in that it's really a tourism kind of community, as is much of the whole coast from pretty much Tampa south. What else?
So I think it's 9:30. Jess is starting her stream.
Well, let's get a little music up, shall we? Let's see what we got here. All right, here we go.
Father Fish got buried in his substrate, setting up a new tank Christmas Eve. You can say there's no way he's down in there, but as for me and Mary, we believe. He'd been carrying too much sand now, and he tipped in with the bag. He wanted to make a deep bed. Now he's fertilizing plants instead. When they found him in the morning, in that tank way in the back, he was beneficial down there. The plant roots were never ever looking back. Father Fish got buried in his substrate, setting up a new tank Christmas Eve. You can say there's no way he's down in there, but as for me and Mary, we believe. Now we're all so proud of Mary. She's been taking this so well. See her sleeping in with Calvin, changing water and giving guppies crust eggshell. All our tanks suck without Father. An inch of gravel now we hate. And we just can't help but wonder, should we haul those bags of sand and test our fate? Test our fate! Father Fish got buried in his substrate, setting up a new tank Christmas Eve. You can say there's no way he's down in there, but as for me and Mary, we believe.
Thank you, here, Fishy. Delightful as ever, as always. Nice to be with you all this morning. We'll be back at 6 o'clock. See you all. See you all at 6. Have a lovely day.
Yeah.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.